In a few days, this park is going to be filled with stalls and activities and Vikings and a bake stall. Hello, I'm Wendy Maples, and this is my introduction to how to run a bake sale. So, how to run a bake sale is a practical introduction to how to run a bake sale. But it's also got a secondary theme. It's about recognizing and celebrating the wonderful volunteers who make bake sales successful. It's organized in a fairly regular pattern of videos, texts, supportive activities, and helpful downloads. On a practical level, the activities, which include things like quizzes, and the downloads, which include things like allergen notices, help with learning about the logistics behind a successful bake sale. In addition to that, there are things like video voxpops about favorite bakes, forums for sharing top tips, and maybe some disasters. And at the core of the whole course is a downloadable booklet with great recipes for favorite bakes that sell really well at bake stalls. Throughout, I try to sneak in some information, some data about volunteers and volunteerism. So who volunteers, how often, and just how much is their contribution of value to the economy. The course is structured in 6 parts. It has an introductory part, of course, which begins with a personality quiz. It's not really a personality quiz, it's asking people, are they a natural volunteer? And it's one of the first ways of sneaking in a bit of information about volunteerism. The second section is organization and logistics. So this is the essential stuff that people need to have if they've never run a bake sale. Sample emails to volunteers, how to get people involved, spreadsheet templates, month to week to on-the-day planning guide, all of which is downloadable and means that people feel supported and prepared for doing what can often be quite a hefty task. The third section is on bakes and bakers. It's a little bit more of a fun section, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute. The fourth section, or fourth module, is on hygiene and food safety, so it's absolutely critical. It includes the allergen download that I mentioned, and I'm also hoping that I can put together a Name That Bacteria quiz, just to remind people how important food hygiene is. The fifth module is about what to do at the end of the bake sale, apart from tidying up. What do you do with leftovers? Do you take them to food banks? Do you give them to homeless shelters? Do you share them amongst the volunteers? It's quite an important question, and it's a problem that happens at the end of virtually every bake sale. What do you do with what's left over? Hopefully not too much is left over, but you never know. It's also about working out profitability. How well did the bake sale do? How do you analyze that? What's the maths involved in working that out? And saying thank you. Absolutely crucial. At the end of every bake sale, it's essential to say thank you to your volunteers. Of course, it's the right thing to do, but on a practical level, it's also about making sure that you've got great volunteers who are willing to come back next year and help you do the same thing all over again. It's also, this section reminds people to say congratulations to themselves for a successful sale. Patting themselves on the back is really important. The course ends with a sharing module, and it includes, I've been lucky enough to line up some conversations with professional bakers and seasoned amateurs about top tips for doing a successful bake sale. And the students will be invited to engage in a forum with their own top tips. The third module is, as I said before, about bakes and bakers. So it starts with voxpops on favorite cakes and bakes, and this is a kind of mock-up that I'm about to show you on the sort of voxpops that I was envisaging having. Enjoy.
Oh, I eat cake.
And
yes,
what's your favorite?
Yes. I think meringues I like.
Meringues? That's not a cake.
Ooh, chocolate cake.
Lemon drizzle cake.
Carrot cake.
So it starts with the vox pops and then goes on to consider more generally what experience says sells well. And we look at things like age difference and gender difference and cultural differences, all of which are factors in the sorts of cakes that you might choose to bake for your bake sale and what you might ask your volunteers to donate. There are ideas for getting those volunteers involved as early as possible. The earlier that they're invested in the bake sale, the much more likelihood there is of success. And it includes the forum on favorite bakes. So getting people to talk about what their own favorite bakes are, and depending on the facilities that people have, perhaps adding to that the video vox pops on favorite bakes. But core to this module is the download, and the download is a lovely little booklet on the bakes that sell best at everyday bake sales. Recipes for kids, recipes for adults, recipes for the reluctant, all in there in a helpful little download. So the idea of the course is very much to be a practical guide, to have some fun ideas to share, and to be supportive of the people who make bake sales happen, particularly the main organizers. It's very much a celebration of volunteerism and of nice cakes.